Today we're doing a different kind of our Thursday dialogue feature. We've asked the newly appointed public protector to come and have a conversation with you as our listeners. Remember yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka as South Africa's fifth public protector, effective yesterday. So her non-renewable 7-year term officially started yesterday. She takes over the reins from Advocate Basie, who was impeached by Parliament in September before the end of her term. She's now Fighter Mkhwebane, having joined the EFF, even as a member of Parliament. So this is your opportunity to ask her about the work of her office, the Public Protector's Office, what her vision is, what she's been able to do so far since she's been acting in this position, and perhaps also some lessons that the office has taken from the previous administration. So if you've got some questions, I want you to give us a call on 011-883-0702. You can send us your WhatsApp voice notes as well on 072-702-1702. Advocate Gcaleka, thank you for making time for us and for coming into studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the 702 listeners, and thank you for having me in studio.
Congratulations on your official appointment. How does it feel? I mean, it was always almost a done deal after Parliament had voted, but it's never done until the president says so.
Thank you so much. You know, I've not been able to answer the question of how do I feel, but I take nothing for granted. You know, I really take nothing for granted, and I feel that it's quite an honor and a privilege to be entrusted to serve the country and beyond, because in terms of the Constitution, the public protector doesn't just serve the country, but it serves the people of South Africa. And I think I'm the fifth public protector of the Republic, and there's a mammoth task ahead of me, you know, and I think our country is going through a lot of difficulties, the institution itself. So probably I've got one of the most difficult tasks that any other public protector has had. But I'm optimistic. I do think that through the challenges, we've got a lot of opportunity, and we've actually seized the moment as an institution since I started acting. So the confusion about how I'm feeling is that I don't know what's too different from the 10th of June.
Yeah, because it's what you've been doing anyway.
It's what I've been doing. I didn't take up the role then as an acting role. I took it up with the full powers as I was entrusted through the Public Protector Act, and therefore the work continues.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you've got a mammoth task, a lot of work you need to do to restore the respect and the integrity and honestly the credibility of this Chapter 9 institution. What used to concern me a lot, with your predecessor was, my biggest concern was not even about the personality. My biggest concern was the damage to the institution and the public's confidence in the institution, because you need people to know that you are their public protector, you are protecting them, and they must feel comfortable to be able to write to you, to approach you with the issues that they have that need to be resolved. So that's going to be a lot of work. I want to facilitate a conversation between you and our listeners. A lot of them have already started calling in. There are some questions that are coming through as well on 072-702-1702. Your calls on 011-883-0702. One of the things you said to me before I go to the calls that really shocked me the last time I had a conversation with you, I think it was in August, was that you said that the Public Protector's Office is not adequately skilled. You said part of the reason why some of the reports by even Advocate Basie were set aside and judges were so scathing on those reports was that when you did a skills assessment, you realized on a scale of 1 to 10, the office is ranking between 5 and 6, which is not good at all. What have you done since then to try and upskill people in the Office of the Public Protector so that the reports you produce are not just credible, but they can really stand the test of time, even in the courts?
What we've started doing is training. Training is continuous. It's not a once-off. So we've already started to do the training internally on a monthly basis, and also external training, referring people for training. But we've also taken seriously the individual development plans, because people do put forward on where do they require development. So we've started to take that quite seriously. But also recruitment. It's important that when you do new recruitment, you recruit those who are going to bring the skill that is required in the institution. But also some, it's not because they necessarily lack the skill. An issue of, environmental appreciation of the work that they are doing. So we are doing a lot as well to identify the excellent skill internally and utilize it correctly, because it's also to place people in positions where they are able to thrive and entrust them with responsibilities. So as a leader, it's also important that you delegate optimally, and you trust people with their decision making, and you sort of also step back, and allow them at times to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. But also the process that we are embarking on now is the process of acquiring services of retirees in the field, whom we intend that they come and do on-the-job training, but firstly do an assessment for themselves. We've already developed a training manual. PPSA hasn't had a training manual. We've developed a training manual through which we get guidance of the aspects of training that we are supposed to undertake. But because of we don't have as much internal human resources, so we would also want these retirees to then look into this training manual and actually beef it up. But for the first time, I think in July or in August, we had intakes, and we actually had our first full 1-week induction program, which included training on the PPSA. So, and also we've got a full quality assurance team, and I spoke about that the last time, of senior colleagues within the PPSA, whom we ensure that before a matter comes to me for signature, they first quality assure that particular matter. But so those are the interventions that we have in place, and actually future interventions. But really my vision with PPSA is to create a center of excellence, and I think with everyone hands on board, and also the support from even other stakeholders, we'll be able to do that.
All right, let's go straight to the questions now on the WhatsApp line, 072 702 1702. Calls on 011 883 0702. What questions do you have for this newly, freshly minted public protector? His 7-year non-renewable term officially started yesterday.
Hi, Clement. Please ask the public protector what it is that she can have in terms of improving the level of professionalism in that office, because as a person who has dealt with that office on 2 or 3 occasions, the level of professionalism is so absent, extremely absent. Some of the officials that are tasked with certain specific tasks, they have this tendency to think that they are doing members of the public a favor. It is I do not want to mention names, and I don't think it would be appropriate, but gee goodness, even in her own office as an acting public protector, it is extremely difficult to deal with some of the people that are in that office. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. What's your plan to improve the levels of professionalism?
Okay, we've already implemented a plan. I've signed a policy on ethics, an ethics code for the institution, and we've actually appointed an ethics committee, which will continuously assess, our level of professionalism, and we will soon be having a hotline where members of the public are able to report us, in our ethical conduct, but as well as besides the issue of professionalism, and professionalism and ethics goes hand in hand, but we've had a serious challenge because of our capacity. Now, we've explored the digital transformation route, and we now have our case management system. Now, we've had to reprogram ourselves and say, customer service, complaints service is our priority, and what do we do in respect of this? So therefore, we've repurposed our call center to optimally deal with issues of complaints and customer service, and they'll be able to have access to our case management system and continuously be able to update complainants and not necessarily leave it to investigators who are indeed sitting with an average of 45 cases per investigator. So it is several factors that impact, on the non-responsiveness to complainants. So we had to look at it in a multifaceted manner and be able to address it in that particular manner. And what we are looking into the future as part of our digitization strategy is to say we must actually have a portal where those complainants who have the means and are actually able to go into the system, put in their reference number and certain quality check information, and be able to access the progress into their matters. And then we know that at least the number of people that we need to physically give feedback to is limited to those who do not have the means to access the digital platform.
Okay, I've got two questions here about the same thing, so I'll read both of them. One from Taki says, well done, Advocate Gcaleka, on your appointment in this critical role in our country. My question to you is, how are you going to remain neutral and unbiased? That's the first question. The other one is from Nongeba, which is similar to that, so that's why I'm just reading both of them. The second one from Nongeba says, Clement, please can you ask the advocate, does she think that she is free to challenge the state president to protect the public?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm a professional. I'm an officer of the court, and I've always conducted myself in that manner. I used to be a prosecutor before this, and several cases, and some even politically charged, had come before me as a prosecutor. When I left the NPA, I was the Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in the South Gauteng, so the Deputy Head of South Gauteng, which is, by the way, the most complex and biggest region in the NPA, And not even on a single day did I ever find myself conflicted between what I have to do in respect of upholding the rule of law and vis-a-vis any other interest. And by the way, for me, whether it's the president of the country or not, I think what they need to be held to is the Constitution and the law. And that is what is supreme. And my duty is to ensure that there is compliance with that. And where there's none, I really have to do my job. So that is how I've ensured throughout my career that I remain unbiased and I remain impartial, independent. I do what I should do in terms of the law and the Constitution of the country. But also, I normally say, the name that I carry is the name of my forefathers, and I do not think that wherever they are, they had intended that whichever role I take, which is, by the way, their legacy, I should serve an individual. For me, it's to serve the people, and that is what I'm entrusted with. I'm really not entrusted to serving an individual. But also, it is important that as a head of an institution, especially a critical institution as the public protector, and that's what I say to colleagues there all the time, we need to build a resilient institution. We need to build grit amongst us as members of that institution, so that even if it is I who is blinded one day, they must be able to assist me to see differently. They must be able to stand up and even to stand up against me. So my intention, and is what I've been doing in the past 16 to 17 months, is really to build a confident personnel. And a confident personnel is one that is knowledgeable enough. It is one that is skilled enough, because if you lack knowledge and skill, you are unable to stand up for whatever view you have, because you are unable to substantiate it. So for me, how I've been operating, when they say to me, this is my view, I say, where do you get it? You give me authority for your view. And that is how we've been operating as the institution in the past 16 to 17 months. Even today, they are conducting the full bench, which is the quality assurance. And I can tell you now, the tone is, okay, you are saying this, where do you get it? Everybody has got their laptops open with an act, with whatever prescripts to substantiate. If you look at our reports, even the 2 reports that we released now during the Good Governance Month, those reports, one, it's for the Eastern Cape government, which is ANC-led, where we are making findings that really are impacting on the lives of people and how services have been delivered in the Eastern Cape. The other one is for the city of Tshwane, which is a DA-led government.
Is that on Hammanskraal?
On Hammanskraal. Now, if you look at the Eastern Cape, when we're at the Eastern Cape, the spirit was that they welcomed the report, and they've already started implementing as we're working with them through the investigations. The mayor of the city of Tshwane spoke yesterday, and he spoke in the same spirit. Now, these are 2 different political parties, and these are reports which have been issued under my leadership. Now, that already tells you the tone of how I intend moving forward, and having begun to lead the institution, but also to serve the people and work with the different stakeholders in their diversity.
Yeah.
Good day, 702. Congratulations to the new public protector. I would like to ask, are you going to investigate the previous public protector if she has exceeded the budget which was allocated for her legal representation during the investigation of her fitness? Thank you. This is Jordan from Edenvale.
Thank you for that question. When you were here in August, you told me that there was about 32 million rand that was spent by the office on Mkhwebane's legal fees, and you even admitted that that was not in the best interest of the Public Protector's Office to spend so much. You may have spent on other things that you shouldn't have spent on. Are you going to be looking into that, as George is asking?
Yes, we've already started. We've already started in line with the Public Finance Management Act and in line with the Auditor General's findings and recommendations. We've already started to do the work that should be done. The matter has been now reported to National Treasury, so there's due process that must obviously take place in line with the PFMA.
Okay, and then another question here. Hi, Clement. Please, can you ask the Public Protector, is it compulsory to report a matter with the provincial office first before we can report it directly to the national office?
Not at all. We actually have a centralized system, registration 2 at peopletracked.org. So we've got an allocation team at a high level, which is chaired by executive managers. Now, it depends on in which jurisdiction does the matter fall. So if it's a provincial matter, it will be allocated to the province. If it's a national matter, it would be allocated to head office. But as well as what I've implemented, also in line with the issue of professionalism and ethics, we will not have matters of the Executive Members Ethics Act as well as your special interest matters investigated by the province from which that matter derives. We take it to another province just to, tighten issues of impartiality and independence and so forth. So it is really not compulsory. It doesn't matter where you report your matter to. It is the assessments and the allocation team that actually decides where your matter is being investigated in line with our standard of operating procedures.
Okay. Another one is, Clement, please can you ask the advocate there whether there has been a handover process with the former public protector, and did she ever speak to the public protector about some of these reports she was releasing that didn't stand the test of the law?
Let me start with the latter. I mean, I came into the Office of the Public Protector as a Deputy Public Protector in 2020, February. So when I did the assessment on, the previous judgments, which I believe is something that must be done periodically. That's how we used to do it in the NPA, is to look at that and see how do you improve. So I actually consulted her about that, and that is work I started as a Deputy Public Protector. So definitely we did have that particular conversation. Handover, I was in the office as a Deputy Public Protector, and before my appointment yesterday, I had been acting for 17 months, So really, I've been operating in the institution and leading the institution, so there's been no need for a handover because I'm not an outsider.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's going up to 9:30, 11:30, I should say. We're going to get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. When we come back, more of your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. We're in conversation with Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka. She was appointed officially yesterday by President Cyril Ramaphosa. A 7-year term officially started yesterday. And I'm taking your calls and your WhatsApps on the questions you have since her official appointment.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
All right, let's go back to your questions on the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. The calls on 011-883-0702.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the newly appointed Private Protector. I just want to find out if the law permits the Public Protector to establish a committee which will ensure that the recommendations that are made by the Public Protector are implemented in a way that the Public Protector had intended. I understand the famous ruling on Nkandla that the Public Protector's recommendations are legally binding. However, I just want to know in instances where they are implemented but not to the level with which the Public Protector had recommended, whether then a Public Protector can go around and making sure that it is implemented. If the law does permit, does such committee exist within the office?
Yes, Advocate?
Yes, indeed. We are responsible for the implementation of our remedial actions. We do have a centralized system that actually monitors the implementation of the remedial action. However, every branch or every investigator who finalized their matter is responsible for tracking the implementation of their remedial action, which we do track through the case management system. So it tells us exactly what information has come through, what information has been put in, and how far has it been. But I must say there's been a significant improvement. I mean, we come from a 0.5 implementation percentage to a 2% by the end of the previous financial year, and as at the last quarter we were at 17%. It seems low, but it is a significant increase, and we are really looking forward to that increasing much more. Already, if you look at the Eastern Cape Systemic, which we just released now, they had already started implementing the remedial action, as well as the Hammanskraal one. Already the mayor, the minister had already met, and so forth, even before we finalized the report. And in many other matters, we see that happening. So, yes, I do believe that the system that we currently have in place in respect of the implementation of the remedial action is actually working. But more than the system, collaboration and strengthening of stakeholder relations, but also the integrity of our reports also have an impact on the implementation. So since we've strengthened those particular areas, we are seeing a significant improvement.
Okay. Kustas, you calling us from Midrand. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Clement, first, congratulations to the PP. I looked at her budget. Her budget is too small for the amount of work that she does. And mostly it's not really in the public eye. So I would like to ask, is she going to motivate for the increase in the budget? And then this last question would be that I looked at the powers versus the AG. The AG, if you do not implement the remedial action, you can be taken to a court of law. She doesn't have those powers. Is she going to motivate so that the work that she does gets executed by the state? So is she going to motivate so that she gets the very same powers like the AG instead of belonging to the SAPS? Thank you.
Thanks, Custos. Advocate.
We do have the powers to enforce the implementation of our remedial action through a civil court process. However, we don't have the budget to go through the civil
I was about
process.
to ask, has that ever been tested in court?
Yeah, we don't have that budget.
Okay.
However, we've already submitted amendments to the Public Protector Act, which we did in June this year, which between our institution and the Department of Justice, they are refining those for submission to Cabinet and then to Parliament, which obviously would be dealt with by the next administration and the next Parliament. But one of the amendments we are making and strongly lobbying for is the criminalization of the non-implementation of the public protector's remedial action. So if you don't challenge them and take them on review to a court of law and you don't implement them, so we will have a certain period where we can actually open a criminal case against the individual or even the department
or the
institution that is not implementing.
And the AG? The point around the AG's powers. Oh, you did say you've got those powers.
Yes,
and then there was a question around the budget.
Oh, yes.
Are you going to be motivating for more?
We have been. But you know what? I've decided not to be a complainant. At times, you need to be innovative and make use of what you have. I mean, we are facing an economic crisis as a country. So we have looked at different means to say, how do we then make sure that we optimize what's within our reach. But first and foremost, we've motivated for the CARA funding. And I strongly believe that for the first time in history, PPSA will receive the CARA funding. I believe that we've made sufficient motivation and we've got sufficient anti-corruption projects to which that funding can go into.
What is the CARA funding?
The CARA funding is the funding that derives from proceeds of crime that goes back into the state. So mainly for law enforcement, anti-corruption institutions. So, and secondly, we are engaging similar institutions even outside of the country to explore their strengths. For example, in training, and so forth, and even in improving our own case management system, we are looking at that. And by the way, when we developed our case management system, we developed it internally, so we didn't outsource it. So we're trying by all means to ensure that we optimize our resources. We've had a discussion with the Minister of Finance, so we're not looking at budget cuts for this financial year, which will then also assist us to augment. But I think we are in a stage as a country where we need to be innovative and creative beyond just the budget that we are receiving. We need to make more from the little that we have.
Miles, you're calling from Senton. Good morning.
Hi, Clement.
Hey, Tara.
Good. Look, I don't have really a question, but I just want to make a comment. Sis Kholeka changed my life, and I think I want to say the country is, look, it's in good hands. I think she spoke now about creating the office to be a place of excellence, and I strongly believe that. Can I give my quick story?
Sure.
So I think 9 years ago, Kholeka was at my grandmother's church, and she said, no, if you've got kids that are in law school or something, here's my number, let me give them some guidance. I met her, I think, a few weeks thereafter at the NPA, while she was still at the NPA, and I was confused as to what am I going to do after leaving varsity. I think I was in my final year, and she said to me, I must join the bar. And I said to her, but I don't have any experience. I don't know. You can't join the journalistic bar without experience or prior exposure. And she said, join the bar. And I said, what about the big law firms and stuff? And she said, join the bar. Safe to say, 9 years into practice now. And I think my practice is doing quite well. And this is all because of Sis Kholeka, the public protector. Another part of the story is my mother always, when she sees her on TV, she says, "There's your mother. There's your mother." I'm calling to say, look, the country's in great hands, and I thank you, and I'm eternally indebted to her.
Wonderful. Wow. That's nice. Yeah. She's blushing here, Miles. She's appreciative of that comment. What's up?
Good day. I just wanted to ask the new public protector, what is the feeling now that the previous public protector will be sitting in a committee where she will have to give account of the office and how it is run? How is the feeling with regards to that? Will that hinder her work? Does she feel perhaps that the previous public protector will use that as a position to attack her work? Or is basically, how does she feel? This is Tsepiso from Kagiso.
Good question, Tsepiso. I think the Justice Committee meetings are going to be so interesting. How do you feel about Faita Mkhwebane being part of the Justice Committee as a member of Parliament for the EFF? And she wants to know, the listener, if you think that will somehow hinder your work.
Not at all. I do not feel so at all. I mean, her having the experience and having had the exposure in the Office of the Public Protector, I really hope that it would actually even enhance the committee. That's what I hope is the intention. It will not hinder our work in any manner. We will continue doing our work in the manner in which we've been doing it. We will continue to report to the Portfolio Committee as we are expected to do so through the Constitution. So I really do not foresee any challenge. If there's an issue that she raises, it has merit and so forth. We take advice from the Portfolio Committee on the reporting on our administration from time to time, and we would take it in the same spirit.
Okay, here's another one.
Morning, Clem, and to the Public Protector there. Congratulations first to the incoming Public Protector. But the question that I have is the limited time that she spent at the office while the predecessor was there. What did she learn in all the doom and gloom? What did she learn, whether good or bad, from the former Public Protector directly as a person? Thank you.
What lessons are you drawing, good or bad, from Advocate Mkhwebane?
I think for me, it's collaborative leadership. It's a very critical one. You can never lead alone. You can never do anything alone. It's being inclusive, teamwork, but hard work. I must say, one thing I do give to Advocate Mkhwebane is that she was a hard worker. It's hard work, but also is that if, as the head of the institution, you don't sit back and just expect things to be done, but you actually provide leadership by leading from the front, But I think what's also critical that I've learned, and a lesson I'm intending to take even beyond the 7 years, is compassionate leadership. That at the end of the day, these are people you're working with. They have families, they have lives. So within the pressures of the job, and it is a highly pressured environment, is that you have to consider that it's these people, it's these souls who need to deliver on this work, and that within your leadership, you need to put that first, actually. You need to have compassion. And if you have compassion towards them, they will actually extend that compassion to the complainants whom they serve and the people whom they serve.
So to be clear, is that a lesson you've learned that she demonstrated, or that's what you think was missing and you want to implement?
I think because of the pressures, it was missing a bit. And for me, it was a lesson learned.
Okay. Someone else is asking about how you have coped with the pressures. Speaking of the pressures that have come with this office, the criticism, whether justified or not, and even the attacks that sometimes come with the job. Just the other day, the Member of Parliament for the DA, Glenys Breitenberg, made a problematic suggestion about you having possibly somehow, quote unquote, slept your way to the top. Those kind of attacks and criticism, how do you deal with them?
Obviously, I'm a human being. I have feelings, and feelings would display themselves. But one lesson I take in life is that I'm not responsible for somebody else's actions. You know, what I am responsible for is my reaction to those actions. But I think as a person, in order to appreciate that, you must be grounded. Now, I've got a very supportive family. You know, I come from a family of 6. I'm the last born of the 6. And I take counsel and wisdom from my siblings a lot, you know, but also from the teachings that our parents left us with. And for me, that grounds me, you know. And I always go back to my own spirituality when moments of anger come in because of certain situations. So that's what grounds me as a human being. But also, what's my purpose? Is my purpose to react to this in this particular manner? What is my purpose? For instance, in respect of what happened in the National Assembly, my purpose really now, being the Public Protector of the Republic, is really to ensure that the mandate of the Public Protector is seen through. Now, if I divert to that, it is a distraction, not just to me, but a distraction to the institution. So I always draw back on that. But most importantly, I've pulled the team at PPSA together. So they are always my fallback at times of pressures. And we have a team that I don't pull the head of institution card. So when I'm not correct, they are able to tell me, and they do tell me. And when I'm correct, they do tell me. And they are exceptionally supportive, you know. So that's, I think, a system I've put in place for myself where I'm accessible, but also where I'm able to access. But also, I normally see myself as a vulnerable leader. When things are hard, I do say that things are hard. I mean, through the 17 months where I was acting, I used to have quarterly staff meetings, and I would give feedback to staff, and I would say it's hard. It's difficult. We're going through a difficult time, but we need to hold the fort. We need to turn this ship. You know, we can't just keep it afloat. So it is important that people know how you're feeling. And at home, they normally say I'm an open book. Even if I don't say it, if something doesn't sit well with me, you see it over my face. If it sits well and I'm expressive, some see it as a weakness, but I take it as a strength because I'm able to relate from that level.
Another question on the WhatsApp line. Hi, Clement. Please ask the new public protector whether she has a plan of looking at having an independent review unit within her office that reviews complaints that were closed by incompetence and unskilled investigators in the public protector's office. The people who just often close cases whenever they're lazy to do the work or come with the easiest known, like, oh, there's not enough evidence, and then they close the matter.
Okay, no, we're not looking at a review unit, but we're looking, we're finalizing the review policy, actually. I should be signing it very soon. But it will be done in terms of hierarchy. If investigator A has finalized a matter and it's brought on review, then it is not the same investigator or the same line of command that would look into that review, but a different set of eyes that will then apply their mind into that review. But of course, the investigator who finalized the matter will have to provide a report that would be considered by the others who would be reviewing, but also at a higher level. So we are really looking into having a proper system for dealing with our reviews.
Okay, I will wrap up with a number of texts, more congratulatory than questions. Mulelu says, Clement, congratulations to Advocate Kholeka. She must stay blessed and focused in serving the nation for the success of our country. Natasha says, hey, Natasha here from Johannesburg. I just want to send a huge congratulations to Advocate Kholeka. And then another person here, Jema from Kwatema in Spring, says, Clement and the team, I just want to say that I love that woman's wisdom. Advocate Kholeka Gcaleka is one of the few wise women in South Africa that I admire and uphold. Wishing her all the best as the country's 5th public protector. May she make God proud, herself first, and subsequently the country that she serves. What is your vision? And that will be my last question. I asked the former public protector the same question after she had taken office. I had an interview with her and I asked, what is your vision for this office? And I want to ask you that question as well. When you sit now and you look at the 7 years that lie ahead, what is the vision? What legacy do you want to leave?
The legacy I want to leave, and I think I said earlier on, I want to build PPSA to be a center of excellence, But first and foremost, we must be the go-to institution when it comes to issues of ethics and governance. There shouldn't be a two-way about it. And there shouldn't be any doubt about it on what professional technical skills we can provide. That is what I would love to leave for the office. But also for the country, it's to reduce the number of private and external forensic investigations. PPSA must be the center to do that. Where an institution wishes to do a particular investigation in terms of its administration, there mustn't be a doubt that PPSA would be able to produce and to produce on time. But also that PPSA be a center of attraction for young, skilled, and even those who wish to skill themselves. They must be able to say, I want to go to Public Protection South Africa because that is the institution that will shape my future. So it's to build an innovative learning system. But most importantly, which is very close to my heart, is innovation and creativity. Digitalization, we must be the home for digitalization. And I must say, our case management system, by the way, is going to the finals towards the end of this month with the public sector innovation. So that's a system that we've put in place and continue to build. So for me, really, those are the priority areas.
Well, thank you so much for coming through and engaging with our listeners, and good luck over the next 7 years. We'll be watching you very closely.